Hello and welcome to another Java video. In this video, I'm going to talk about two-dimensional arrays in Java. So think about it like this. Being in a class of number of students and you are grouped into various groups, you have different number of groups and different number of people inside a group. So we can use a 2D array to represent the groups and the number of people in the groups. So let's get started. So let's start by declaring an array. So in a normal array, we just bring one of these square braces and we can continue. But in a 2D array, we bring two, then we give it the name. So let's give it names equals new string. So the first square braces here will be responsible for the number of rows. So let's take it as the number of groups. So let's say we want three groups, then the number of students in three groups. So let's say we want three students each in three groups. So we can do it like this, 3, 3. So we've declared our 2D array. Now we need to initialize the 2D array with the names of the students in the various groups. So let's start. So names, so this is the first group, and the first group, the index is 0, and the position, or let's say the name of the student that will be inside that group to will be 0 as well. So let's give it a name like Brad. So you are going to do the same thing for the downline. So let's use the shortcut key. You can use Ctrl D. So we need multiple of this. And let's come down here. So let's change. So the first three here will be responsible for group 1, which will be index position of 0. Here, the index position of this student now will be 1. Then below, the index position will be 2. So let's change the name here. So Brad, let's give Jane. Then let's give a name like Sarah. So this is our first group and we are done. Now let's move to our second group. In our second group, the index position of the group will be 1 and the index of that student will be 0 since the student is starting the group. So let's give the name to be Joy. So we are going to change here to 1, 2 as well. And here will be 1. Then let's give a random name. Let's give Nate. Now the last one for the second group, here will be index position of 2. Then let's give a name like, so let's give a name like Dave. Now let's come to the final group now, which will be the third group. By the index of the third group will now be 2. So the index position of the first person will be 0. Second person in that group will be 1. And the third person in the group will be 2. So let's give the respective names for the students too as well. So I need a name here. What name do I give? We have Joy. Let's give Mike. Then let's have Dan. Okay. And let's give Mia. Alright. So now we have completed the values in our 2D array. So let's now print out each values in the array. Now this is two-dimensional arrays, so we need a nested for loop to get the values. So the first for loop will be responsible for printing the groups, and the next one, which is the inner for loop, responsible for printing the names of the students in each group. So let's give for int I as usual equals 0, I less than numbers, sorry, we are using names, so names dot length, and we have I plus plus. Now inside here, so let's print a new line. So this is just printing a new line for us, so it is grouping them in a various group. Now the inner for loop will be int. Now this time around we can't use I because we've used it already. J. Now the condition of this is going to look somehow weird and horrible, but bear with me. So J will be less than names at index position of I dot length, then J plus plus. So what this line is doing here is it will take the index of the first I, which is here, and print out their value, then move there to take this, print out their value, then take this and print out their values. So inside this is where we are printing out the values of each array. So system.out. So let's use the print statement so that they will all be on the same line. So let's give names at index position of I, at index position of J, and let's kind of print some spaces in between them. So now let's run our project and see. So my project name is main. All right, we are successful. So looking here, we see the first group, which is group 1. We have Brad, Jane, and Sarah. So let's come up here and see what we are doing. So we have Brad, Jane, and Sarah. Now in the second group, we have Joy, we have Nate, and we have Dave. Then in the last group, we have Dan, Mike, and Mia. So this is how we print two-dimensional arrays in Java. If you change this, that means you are going to adjust the number of people inside the group. So this is basically one way of initializing, declaring a 2D array. There's another way to do that, and in the other way, as we used in the previous array topics, if you haven't checked that, the video will be in the description to check the previous arrays. You see that immediately after this, we initialize the values directly, not giving this before initializing it. So that's also another way to initialize a 2D array. So let's do that. So we take off the line, then we have this. Now inside this, we'll have the first group of people. So we have Brad, then we have, sorry, I want to make my code kind of nice. So we have Jane. No, this is not inside. Then the last one, you have Sarah. So our first group is complete. Now let's move to the next group. Don't worry about the errors here, we'll take care of that later. So in the next group, now the reason is simply because we've not yet printed a main array group. So let's paste this inside the main. Exactly. So this is taking care, the first bracket is taking care of the whole group, and this will be the number of groups inside the main group. So the second one here will be, so we have Joy, then we have Nate, and the last one we have Dave. And let's go ahead to print the last group of people. So we have Mike, then we have Dan, then we have Mia. Oh, sorry, I didn't print this inside the bracket. So it's giving us an error. So let's copy this while I generate a bracket. Oh, come on. Okay. So we are not successful. Now we bring a colon and we are done. So let's try grouping this very well for a clear understanding. So let's bring this also below. Let's bring this to down here. Yeah, it's also okay. So let me try indenting this. All right. Oh no. Okay, I think it's okay now. So it's clear. So this is the main group. Now in the main group we have one, two, three groups. And in these three groups we have three elements each in each group. So we can take off the line here. School code will still work the same way. I'm in a presentation mode, so it's kind of giving me some problem. So we can clear this off now. So now this is our final code now. So we have string names and we have the values directly initializing it with a for loop printing out each group and each value for us. So let's run the program and see. Brilliant. So we still have the same thing printed on the console. We have Brad, Jane, and Sarah. We have Joy, we have Nate, we have Dave, we have Mike, Dan, and Mia. So this is simply how the two-dimensional array in Java works. So you can print more values. You can make it about four groups and like five students inside the four groups. It depends on your choice and maybe the program you're trying to write. So this is um, 2D array. If you want a copy of all this code, I'll copy it and paste it in the description section. You can take a look at it and try it. Thank you and see you in the next video.